There are two rules for being successful in martial arts. Rule number 1, never tell others everything you know. As a Latino, racism is something that's been a part of my life for as long as I can remember. While most people aren't racist, I've crossed paths with one or two over the years. After interacting with me, they quickly learned that many of their preconceived ideas were wrong, either as a result of discovering the content of my character or while reminiscing during their hospital stay. As a side note, while I don't like living in Washington State, the fact that it remains a no-retreat state has simplified my life many times over the years. For those who don't know, a conservative friend and fellow YouTuber, Devil's Advocate, has previously spoken out in opposition to some of the subjects contained in this video. As a result, his family was targeted and physically threatened by racists. Here are some examples. With that in mind, should some racist decide to pay me a visit, please understand that out of respect, I'll do my best to ensure your visit is brief, because, like any good host, I'm always prepared for guests. And also, as a reminder, plan your estate accordingly. With that out of the way, let's go ahead and move on, shall we? Before we can have a meaningful discussion about these issues, it's important to define some terms. The first is RAHOWA. The Urban Dictionary defines it as follows. Racial holy war, RAHOWA, sometimes spelled as R-A-H-O-W-A, is the belief that white people should unite and undertake a holy war against Jews and non-whites. The concept was first put forth by Ben Klassen, founder of the Church of the Creator. Since the group's inception, the term has gained a significant amount of popularity within white nationalist terminologies. The next term is entryism. Wikipedia defines entryism as a political strategy in which an organization or state encourages its members or supporters to join another, usually larger, organization in an attempt to expand influence and expand their ideas and program. In situations where the organization being entered is hostile to entrism, the interests may engage in a degree of subterfuge and subversion to hide the fact that they are an organization in their own right. With that out of the way, let's dig in. What is MGTOW? MGTOW is an acronym that stands for Man Going His Own Way. It's a personal philosophy and lifestyle that advocates men determine their value free from gynocentric standards. It teaches men they don't have to determine their worth by how subservient they can be to women. MGTOW spawned is a natural consequence of feminist and gynocentric laws and social mores that advocate demonization and the discrimination against men. MGTOW opposes marriage, cohabitation, and commitment to a woman. As a global, organic, decentralized movement, MGTOW come from all walks of life, every race, and creed. While MGTOW's opposition to gynocentrism is well known, a lesser-known element of MGTOW is inspiring men to figure out what to live for once they're free from gynocentric standards. However, MGTOW is not political or ideological. Because of this, those who have gotten past the red pill rage are often difficult to indoctrinate or sway into adopting extremist ideologies, whether they be feminist or social justice bigotry on the left or racist bigotry on the right. The progressive left are globalist or communist socialists, and the alt-right trad cucks are national socialists. Both are gynocentric, and both love the welfare state. Further, rather than dismantle the welfare state to improve society, both are fighting for control of it. Regardless of how they package their sales pitch, neither group gives a shit about you or me. Both groups want power and will do whatever is necessary to get it. Further, like social justice and feminist bigots, the racists of the alt-right movement witch hunt and target those who speak out against them as well, as evidenced by the physical threats against Devil's Advocate's family. To be clear, social justice warriors, feminists, and the alt-right are using the same playbook. They are all socialist collectivists who want to take your rights away and form a dictatorship. And while racism is nothing new, it's experiencing a resurgence in the alt-right. On April 7, 2017, Truth Out published an article entitled, Exposing and Defeating the Fascist Creep. While this piece is basically an anti-Trump hit piece, complete with SJW fearmongering, there are some notable facts contained within it. The article states, the 1990s and early 2000s saw neo-fascist groups creeping by infiltrating the anti-globalization, ecology, animal rights, and anarchist movements, attempting to reorient them into pro-fascist directions. This phenomenon of entryism has typified the national anarchist, pan-secessionist, and autonomous nationalist tendencies. In other words, even though entryism was created and widely used by communist and other leftist socialist groups, racists adopted this tactic to subvert right-wing and libertarian organizations also. They go on. Perhaps the most bizarre neo-fascist formation is that of the autonomous social nationalists, who mimic their German anarchist predecessors, the Autonomen, in style and militancy, supporting syndicalism, radical ecology, and insurrectional street-fighting tactics against capital and the state, only that they also violently target immigrants, Jews, leftists, and Roma, seeking the creation of an authentic future for Germany. Autonomous nationalists have also been active in Bulgaria and Ukraine, particularly during the run-up to the revolution that occurred in the latter country in 2014. Even though the 2014 Ukrainian coup was mischaracterized in the mainstream media, there are numerous sources that prove that the neo-Nazi organization Right Sector was the main fighting force behind the overthrow of the Ukraine's democratically elected government. Ukraine's been a shit show ever since. The alt-right isn't even attempting to hide its racial bigotry. On April 4th, 2017, altright.com published the article, "Make Racism Acceptable Again." In it, they state, "Racism is a defense mechanism. To advance one's ethnic genetic interests is to promote one's own above all others. What is beneficial for whites carries more weight than what is good for an abstract humanity. The problem is not that Europeans are inherently too racist. The real problem is that Europeans are not nearly racist enough. There can be no love without hate. We should not fall into the trap of cultural relativism. It is pure poison. We can objectively conclude that some cultures are more advanced and hence more valuable than others. People who condemn racism are the enemy. Race nationalism is the only valid nationalism." The alt-right racism is so fanatical that they wrongfully conflate cultural superiority with racial superiority, which, at best, is retarded. At worst, it's intellectually dishonest. Now, if you believe the alt-right supports freedoms granted by the U.S. Constitution, think again. They don't. Altright.com, on May 6, 2017, published the article, "Amazon Needs to be Nationalized for the Good of the American People." This shit is straight out of the Venezuelan socialist playbook. The alt-right is actually calling for the nationalization of private enterprises. They oppose individual and business property rights. This is not capitalism. It's socialist bullshit masquerading as constitutional rhetoric. I know I'm right because the altright.com on July 28, 2017 published the article, "If you want free speech, get rid of democracy." Yep, exactly. The mask is now completely off. They state, "There's a certain charm living abroad in a country where the state is all-powerful. There's a feeling of solidarity, camaraderie, that comes from having no illusions about your ability to influence the throne. Better to pass the drink along, lighten up, and have a laugh." To be clear, they're calling for the abolishment of our way of life and our constitutional protections in favor of a totalitarian hard patriarchy along racial lines. Even worse, on November 5th, 2017, altright.com upped the ante with their article, "Culture War First, Race War Later." Here's some notable quotes from the article. "I love fantasizing about RAHOWA as much as the next Goy. I wait in anticipation for the culture war. It seems obvious to me that the biggest problem that we face is our own people. We know who they are. They're white, too. Their class, their social environment, and their entire internal memeplex is shit-lib to the core, and they hate you. And the feeling is mutual, if I'm honest with myself. If there is a war to come, then it'll be bad whites versus good whites." Now, the article itself doesn't talk about what will happen after the good whites defeat the bad whites, but from the title, we can reasonably infer it's going to be a racial holy war, or RAHOWA. Now, after all this, I can anticipate the logical question. DDJ, bro, this sounds like leftist bullshit. What does this have to do with MGTOW? Well, I'm glad you asked. A few months ago, another YouTube content creator defamed and harassed TFM. On the surface, it appeared to be a YouTube drama marketing attempt to increase their subs at the expense of TFM. However, as I looked into it, I discovered it was something else. This content creator, who we'll respectfully refer to as MGTOW Cockgobbler, wasn't attempting to grow his channel. He was attempting to create dissent within the MGTOW community while painting himself as a solution to the problem he unethically painted onto everyone else. He not only targeted TFM, he also targeted MGTOW.com and the MGTOW Reddit, even making a video disparaging both groups. Further, when he was called on his bullshit, he created a sock puppet account of TFM to harass himself and to falsely blame TFM for it. TFM investigated, collected the evidence, and presented it objectively in a response video, debunking Cockgobbler's lie. However, this wasn't the first instance of Cockgobbler creating sock puppet accounts. MGTOW.com told me when he joined their site they discovered he had created sock puppets there as well. When I discussed this on the TFM show, I believed Cockgobbler was an SJW practicing entryism into the MGTOW community. However, after further consideration and investigation, I now believe that Cockgobbler was actually an alt-right cuck, not an SJW feminist cuck. Additionally, I'm seeing more and more people posting in MGTOW forums, video comments, and MGTOW-friendly Discord servers racist and white nationalistic rhetoric. Based on my research, it's clear the alt-right is targeting the MGTOW community, specifically preying on those still in the red pill rage because they're the most vulnerable. The MGTOW community isn't the only one targeted by alt-right racists. YouTube content creator Kraut & T published a video on December 7, 2016 entitled "But My Nazi Memes," where he points out a racist entryist who posed as his friend but was in reality attempting to use him to spread racism. Even TFM has spoken out on multiple occasions against racial and anti-Semitic retards who try to clothe their bigotry in MGTOW language or otherwise infiltrate the community. Further, TFM on Halloween 2017 published a video entitled "MGTOW Smash the Hard Patriarchy." In it, he explains why a hard patriarchy not only isn't the solution, but that it will potentially do more harm to men than good. I agree with his view completely. I encourage everyone to watch both TFM's video on the hard patriarchy and Kraut & T's takedown of the alt-right entryist to get a better understanding of the situation. The links are in the description. Because we live in a gynocentric, collectivist society, the best self-preservation strategy for MGTOW remains ghosting in plain sight. However, because there's now confirmation the alt-right has targeted MGTOW, I suggest MGTOW ghost on them as well. Also, you should know that some of these bigots may be posing as your trusted friends and associates. Make no mistake, like hypergamous women, they're only using you. They don't give a shit about you. Don't let these racists cuck you into their bigoted ideologies. Avoid associating with racists, neo-Nazis, and others who promote this collectivist bullshit. And when it comes to racist forum and YouTube comments, ignore them and or downvote them. I also encourage MGTOW to avoid patronizing racist content creators, even if they identify as MGTOW. Sooner or later, even these simple knuckle-dragging dipshits will get the message to go play hide and go fuck themselves somewhere else. Until then, smart MGTOW will continue to ghost in plain sight. If you've enjoyed this video and you found it educational or insightful, please like and share and subscribe to my channel. You can also support my research on Patreon. And in case I'm targeted by YouTube, I also mirror all my content on Bitchute, and all my content is backed up on MGTOW.com. All the links are in the description. I'm DDJ, and this has been your dose of misandry today.